All right, everybody, we are going to be jumping into the second part of setting up local multiplayer on our games. And last time we were together, we had it set up so we could have our one little dude who would run around, and then whenever we add in our second player, which I'm turning on my controller right now, I'm able to hit start and he pops in and is ready to go too. So today what I'm going to be doing is adding in the HUD, the heads-up display for these guys. So you can see a score, a health bar for each of our different players and the different corners of our game view here. So we'll have player 1 up here in the top left, player 2 in the top right, player 3 down here in the bottom left, player 4 down at the bottom right, all with their own colors. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So down here in the content drawer, we're in our couch co-op folder already, and I'm going to right click in here and make a new folder. This one's going to be for all of our HUD pieces. So I'm going to do cc_HUD, and I'm going to go into that folder, right click in here, and we're going to be going to user interface and widget blueprint. There we are. Click on that. Select that widget blueprint. We're going to do W_CC for couch co-op, and let's say this will be our heads up display. Okay, then we're going to make another widget blueprint. Same thing, user interface widget blueprint. Select widget blueprint. We're going to do W_CC player. Got the caps lock on there. Player card. There we go. All right, so the difference between these two is that our heads-up display is going to be kind of our skeleton to load all the other player cards onto. So the heads-up display will say where the player cards are going to go, and then the player card that we're going to make, this widget, is going to be used over and over again inside of the heads-up display. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our player card, and we're going to make that. Every time you work with a widget, you're going to need some kind of container for it. So in this situation, we have it on its own. It's not necessarily going to be placed on the screen yet. So we're going to do a vertical box. Okay, just drag that down onto that. There's our vertical box. Inside of our vertical box, we're going to need a text box. Okay, just drag that down there. And actually, I don't need an editable text box. I need just a text box. So let's back that up. There we go. That's what I want. And we're also going to get a progress bar. That's what we're going to use for our health bar. So I've got a text block here. Text block is going to be for our score. So I'm going to call it txt_score. And we do want that to be a variable because it's something that we're going to be affecting later on. I'm going to go ahead and change that so it says 000. We're already knowing that this is going to be something for our score. Progress bar, I'm going to click on that, go up here. This is going to be health bar. Okay, make sure that's a variable as well. And we have that checked already. A couple things I'm going to want to do. I'm going to hit fill. That's going to make there. It's going to take up the whole thing, but I don't really need it to be that big. I'm going to go up here to custom on screen. Now it's going to be a little more appropriate for what we're looking at. Width, I think I want that to be about 400. That seems to be a good number to roll with. And that's the beginning of our player card right there. Okay. So next thing we're going to be doing is we'll need to, excuse me, put a little code onto this. So what we'll want to do is maybe one of the first things we're going to want to do is this score up here at the top is going to need to get justified to the left or the right, depending on where it's at on the screen. So we're going to go over here to our graph. It's up here next to designer. We're going to go to our graph. We're going to have all this happen before this gets shown up on screen. So we're going to go right here to the event pre-construct. And one thing we're going to do is we're going to get our text score right here. That's the thing we want to have justified to the left or the right. We're going to just drag that in. And we're going to drag off of that. And we're going to set justification. There we go. And this is going to change depending on where this is supposed to be. So I'm going to make a new variable right here. We're going to go over to variables, hit the little plus. I'm going to call this justification. And the type of variable is going to be an etext justify. So what that does is it just takes the direction you give it whenever we set this up inside of our HUD and says, oh, okay, well, cool, this is supposed to go this way because you've directed the justification in there. So this will get set inside of our, more or less our game view. So I need to make this as instance editable right here, okay? Then we're going to drag this in, we're going to get that, we're going to hook it up to justification because that's how we're going to decide where that text score is going to go. Let's see, next thing we want to do is we're going to, let's pop back over to the progress bar. And right now it's not full. Let me kind of show you some aspects of that so you can see how this is going to be handled. Really it's going to be, yeah, we don't really have to mess with any of the padding or anything. That looks okay. Style, right now, that's not really going to matter too much to us, but the progress right here, percent is set for 0. Now you notice as you hover over this with your little arrow and you drag to the right, you'll notice a 0.2, it's increasing in a float number style. And as we increase it to 1, also over here, your progress bar filled up. So this is kind of being handled in a percentile sort of way. So if you just kind of keep that in mind as far as how you want to fill or decrement the progress bar, that's how it's handled right there, is with that percent. Okay, and let's see, we want it to have this as different colors depending on which player is using it. So let's go back into our graph. I'm gonna go ahead and hit compile just so we're staying on top of that. And I'm gonna need another player controller, or I'm sorry, not player controller, variable. And this one's gonna be called player color. If I can type, there we go. And this is going to be a linear color because this is something that we're going to use in a lot of different areas. There's the linear color right there. And this is something that's going to be changed from the default values inside of our game view. So we're going to make sure that's instance editable as well. Once we compile that, then we can go into player color and we can assign certain colors to be used for our players. So I'm going to go down here to player color. And actually have some from a previous time I was playing with this, so I'm just going to delete everything there. I'm going to show you how we go through making this. So first one's going to be, first color we're going to have anywhere, going to be kind of a goldish yellow, maybe even orange, you could say that. I'm going to grab that and drag it up here. That's our first one. Next one's going to be red. Let's see, I want that nice, kind of a little bit darker. There we go. That looks good. I'm going to drag that one up here too. Next one's going to be a green. That looks pretty good, like that. Okay, and then we're going to do the last one is blue. Okay. Let's get that where we want it, and I'm dragging that up there. Okay, so now we have the 4 colors we're going to be using for our players and their HUDs as it relates to them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back over here. We're going to pull this detail back down again. Actually, don't want it all over the place. There we go. Perfect. Okay. We got details on top. That's fine. We can do that. We're going to go back in here. Player color is something we're going to need a reference to. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the health bar player color. So we're going to get the health bar. We're going to get that. For those progress bars, we're going to do set fill color. We can see it here for the progress right there. So we're going to use that, set fill color and opacity. And our player color is going to go right into the player color right there. Okay. Easy enough for us. Okay. And next thing we want to do is we need to get this associated with a particular player color. So a player controller is what's going to really decide what color goes on there, or what color it gets attributed to our players as well. So we'll go off this event construct right here. We're going to be building something. I'm going to right click here next to it, and we're going to do get player controller. Okay. And it should be this one right here with game. Notice it has a player index with it. That's the one we want. Player index, yet again, is very important for local multiplayer because that's how you decide which player did what. based on their index. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a variable. Player index is right there. That's perfect. We're going to be setting that in the game view as well. And then for the return value, we probably want to get that and save that as well. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to promote that to a variable. For that one, let's call that player controller, because that's really what it is. Control. Well, how about assigned controller? Because that's really going to give us an idea of what it's supposed to be. This is the controller that was spawned and assigned to it. Okay. All right. So next thing we're going to do is, as soon as we have the assigned controller set up, we need to have it flip. As soon as it's activated, it's going to go from saying press start to play or anything, and then go to what we have here, which is our player card as we know it. But what we want it to do is we want it to start off saying press start on your controller, or press start to play, or something like that. So what we're going to do is this player card is going to have a switcher added to it, so it can switch between those two different views. So we're going to right click on this vertical box right here. We're in the designer right now. We're going to right click on that, and we're going to do wrap with, and we're going to go down here to widget switcher. Okay, so what this does is it's going to be able to switch between two different containers. Okay, now remember, we have this one set up as a vertical box, and this next one we're going to set up with just a border. Okay, because we're not going to do a whole lot with it. We're just going to have some text inside of here. So I'm going to do a border. See, it's going to be set up separately, and then I'm going to do a text box. So I'm going to do text, and let's see, there's our text right there. Okay. So in this text block, we don't need anything crazy. I don't need to change the name of it or anything, but I do want it to say something different. Press start on gamepad. Okay. I think gamepad's all one word. Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. And notice that the text is white and it's on a white background, so that's going to be a little bit silly, but all the other colors that we just assigned weren't white. So this is going to work out here in just a second. All right, so we have press start on gamepad. That's right there. That looks pretty good. Let's take a look at a couple other things real quick. Actually, this border right here, that is going to need to change color. And I'll just say like press start box. Okay, so I know that this is going to be the thing that shows up, and then it's going to switch over to our other stuff. So I'll need to have that referenced inside of the space that we're working with. Okay, let's go back to our graph, and I'm also going to need that press start box. There we are, to take on the same color as our player color right here. On this case, on the player start box, that's a little bit different. This is going to be done with a brush, so we're going to do set brush color right there. Okay. Go ahead and hook that up, and then the player color is going to run right into that. So when we go back, we're going to notice that in the designer, now we have a color. Yeah, there we go. So on the press start on gamepad, I want that to be in the middle. There we go. And as far as the size goes, whoop, too big. Let's set that for 30. See how that looks? Still a little bit too big. 25. That's not bad. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit compile there, and that looks decent. Okay, cool. I like that. Next thing we're going to want to do is we need to go to our player HUD, the HUD right here. Excuse me. And we're going to go ahead and open that up. And this time, since this is going to be the thing that keeps track of everything on the screen, we're going to use a canvas for this one. So we're going to use canvas panel. Drag that down here. Notice this looks a little bit like the screen we're going to have for our game. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in our player cards, because this thing knows we have some widgets here. So we're going to drag in our first one. There's our first player card. Let's go ahead and get that one set up like we like it. Let's see, X and Y, about 50. The anchor on this one's the top left. We're also seeing the size is a little bit low, so 400. I think we had 100 for the Y. And everything looks pretty good there. Our justification is to the left. Player color is not blue. Our first player is going to be kind of that orangey yellow. And our player index is 0, so that's our first player. Okay, next thing we're going to do is right-click here. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to duplicate that player card. And we're going to go over here to anchors. We're going to go to the top right. Now, notice this thing didn't change. But it looks like, as far as the position goes, 50 should line it up with what's below it. Negative 1920. I'm going to try negative 450 and see what that does for us. Looks pretty good. All right, and then this one's, as we go down through everything here, we're going to have that justified to the right, and then the color on this one is going to be red, and index on this one is 1, because that's player 2. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and do our next one. We're going to duplicate that. This one, the anchor is going to be the bottom left. Okay. And if we remember correctly over here, that should be 50 right there. And then this one, I'm going to try negative 150 and see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Justification on this one should be to the left. Our color now is going to be green. And player index is going to be 2. So that's player 3 right there. All right, last one. Here we go. Duplicate. We have our anchor set for the bottom right. I think this one for player Y is probably going to be a lot different, but as far as this one's concerned, let's see, what did we have that set for? Negative 50? Is it? No, it was negative. Oh, hold on. I may be in the wrong area. Position, that's where we wanted to be. Negative 450. Let's see, it's supposed to be 400. There we go. Negative 450. Y, I think, or negative 150. Yeah, that looks right. Justification should be to the right. Green is the last color. Blue is the fourth player color. And we want to change that index to 3. There we go. Okay, so everything is where it's supposed to be. Everything is justified where it's supposed to be. We can go ahead and save that, compile everything. Let's go back to our player card. Let's make sure everything's working the way we want it to. Currently, we don't see player starting gamepad, and so to check that, we check the score and everything, and that looks good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this press start box and drag it on top. So now this is going to be, as far as the switch is concerned, it uses everything in indexes 2. So this press start is at index 0. Vertical box is now at index 1. So whenever we compile this and we go back to our heads-up display, now we see press start on gamepad on all these instead of the score and everything. Everything looks pretty good here. If the font seems to go off or be a little bit crazy, you'd need to go back into the player card itself and adjust it here. Just kind of see how it looks as it adjusts over to the heads-up display. Make sure you hit compile whenever you do that, if you're having to do any adjustments to that extent. All right, let's see. I think one of the last things we're going to need to do is we got to get this thing hooked up so it does spawn these things correctly whenever we bring a new player in. So we're going to go back to our heads-up player card. We're going to be in our player card, going back to our graph. And we're going to be working down here. We kind of let this hang here a little bit. And what we do is, and this is a node I wouldn't expect anybody to know without researching it, or you had to go out and find it. So the one that we're looking for now is called bind event to unpossessed pawn change. Yeah, it's a crazy one, but it's really similar to an event dispatcher. In fact, you'll see right here, the event right here is asking us to make a custom event, which we're going to do just like we do when we're making a bind for a event dispatcher. I'm going to go ahead and hook this one up because this is looking for which controller is going to be associated with this pawn that has just been created, basically. So on this custom event, I'm going to call this pawn changed. There we go. And what we're going to do with this one is we have old pawn, new pawn. This one's going to be coming off of new pawn. We want to make sure it's valid first. So we're going to make sure it's in the level. Okay, this is one we use for that. New pawn is going to hook up to the input object, and then we're going to go off of is valid. So if it is there, we're going to set active widget. Let's see, actually it might be good if I grab the switcher and do that. Let's see, widget switcher. Oh, you know what? I'm going to change the name on that thing because I feel like that makes things a lot easier for everybody. I think I can do it right here. If not, I'm going to go out here to the designer, widget switcher. Yeah, I'm going to rename that just to switcher. I like that more. Okay, cool. So I'll grab my switcher, bring that in, and from here, set active widget, and we want to make sure we get the one with the index because that's going to be the one that goes with the index for our controller and for our player. Okay, in this case I want it to pop up with index 1 because we want it to just go to the next one. Okay, as far as the interface is concerned, this is done. Like this the HUD is concerned, this is all good. We don't have to do anything with this. Now, we do need to get it on the screen, and to do that, we need to put it in something else that's already in the game, something that's already started off. So that could be a player controller, which in this case, we're spawning them in, so that's probably not a great idea. But game mode is already being used. So I'm going to go ahead and click on our game mode, and probably the best place to put this would be right after we set the third person template right here. We'll create the widget, and then it'll start the player. Okay, so you'd maybe see it for a split second where you'd see this show up on screen, the widget would show up on screen, and then you'd see the player show up on screen, but it's probably not going to be very discernible. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull off of this set default pawn class right here, and we're going to do create display. Let's see here. We're going to do create widget. There we go. Whoop. Darn it. Accidentally hit another button. Create widget. There we go. Bam. All right. And the widget we're going to be creating is the heads up display. So we're going to do that. And since this is something that we were going to be using over and over again, we're going to need references to things. Probably be a good idea, this return value right here. We're going to turn that into a variable, so we have that set as a reference we can go back to. I'm also seeing this right here, so I'm wondering how we ended up with 2 of those. Is this the new var0? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get rid of that because I think that might have been an accident or something. But this one is one we're gonna set up, and probably call that one just. We can call that HUD too, because this is going to be something that we're going to need to have a reference for. Oh, wait, I've already got that. What did I do here? Oh, I've already got one named HUD. I'm a crazy one. That's okay. If we've already got it, then we don't have to worry about that. And probably just one that I didn't erase before I did this again, so it'd be a little higher quality. I think that's probably what it is. So I'm going to delete that. Yeah, we're going to delete this one too. And I'm going to remake it. All right, so it's right here. And we're promoting it. And this one's going to be just HUD. Perfect. Okay. From here, then we actually need to put it on the screen. So we'll do add the viewport. Add to viewport. There we go. This is the one that actually puts it on the screen for everybody. So if we were missing add to viewport, we wouldn't see anything. Okay. All right, that should be pretty much all of it. So let's see how this goes. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my controller here real quick so we have that ready to go. And make sure you're in the game view before you try this, because otherwise some of the multiplayer aspects just don't work on other tabs. So I'm going to hit play. Hey, there's all of our different HUDs popping up. Click on the screen. My little dude's able to run around. Have my other controller ready. I'm going to hit start. Let's notice the top right corner where second player should pop in. Start. Hey, look at that. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. Second player is able to do all the things they're going to do. I don't have 2 more controllers hooked up just yet, so We can't check the bottom, but looks like everything else is working okay. So we can move on from here. After this one, we're going to be adding in color to our players so that the color on the players match the color on the HUD, and we're just going to keep growing it from there. All right. Hope this helps you guys out.